This is Mastering Mathematics with your teacher, Karen Weston.
Hello everyone, welcome again to this new series, New Year 2015, Mastering Mathematics. I am Dr. Karen Weston, welcoming you again now to what we call the largest classroom in the world. Yes, we're spanning the globe, all right? This is a program sponsored by the Ministry of Education using its EBU unit and our Mathematics Center and ABS Television. Today, we will be focusing on a lot of the questions from the CSEC January 2015 examination. So what are we doing? We are taking a break, seeing what it is we have learned so far. How is it that we would compare our knowledge with the exam questions, and to prove, yes, we are well on our way to master that CSEC examination coming up in May. And that is our goal. We have a few more topics to cover, but it is always good to test against a template to see what exactly we have done. Now, you heard me calling myself Dr. Karen Weston. Yes, it is over. It is finished. The graduation took place December the 11th, when, and according to this certificate, the University of Nottingham, having satisfied all the requirements, Karen Olivine Weston was on the 11th day of December 2015 duly admitted to the degree Doctor of Philosophy. All right? So that is why I now know that I am called Dr. Karen Weston. You see, it's a lot of hard work. And this was the thesis, an examination of the place of school mathematics, preparing pupils for the workplace in Antigua and Barbuda. That was what the research was done on. Pages and pages and pages. It will be in our National Public Library. And I want to tell you something. You have to go to that library. It's a state of the art. And I am now searching for a place where you will also see a section that will be marked Mathematics Education. Yes, we have come of age. And we are preparing for the technological era. And just later on, too, you're going to see the type of board that we'll be using to bring you our program, Mastering Mathematics. But that's for another time. Now, after this, we won't be chatting plenty. We won't be giving any of these side shows because we have a focus. We have to improve our percentage pass in mathematics by 20%. And can we do it? Sure we can. And we are working as hard as we can to make certain that this happens. This is a symbol of a set of calculators that was presented to the mathematics department in Barbuda, scientific calculators in Barbuda, by the group Family Dentistry and its operators functioning for them, and heading the way would be Dr. Maxwell Francis, to make certain that my Barbudans are also coming on board to improve our percentage pass in mathematics. We want to thank the group of board operators and Mr. Maxwell Francis for being there all the time for us to make certain that I can get over to Barbuda and that it will be a reality that Barbudans will be passing the mathematics examination. So, without any further ado, we turn to what we are supposed to be doing now. What do we have coming up? Well, yesterday we had a workshop for our mathematics teachers, and that was coming on with Nicholas Goldberg with the Oxford Mathematics book, and we all agreed that that's the book that we want to use. There were several websites given to, and you know, of course, we have our YouTube and Facebook where you can go and access the information. So there is no shortage of material when it comes to mathematics. Today now, we want to get straight into the notion to show you that CXC2 is doing everything in its power to make it easy for the students to negotiate the examination paper, so that nothing gets lost, so that you're not using anything outside or you're saying you did it on scrap paper. CXC is now giving its examination paper as a booklet, all right? And students, you just have to turn the page, read the instructions, okay, formulas are here, and you would see the questions are set out, and first question, and you write in the space beneath here, all right? The examination officer, Mr. Myrick Smith, has brought to my attention that there was a student who did a question 2. It was a graph question. Then there was a graph paper for question 4. So he wrote the answer for question 2 in question 4. You cannot do this in this book because the questions are assigned a number. And if you do that, you're not going to get any marks. You cannot do that. All right? We will see if you would be allowed to say insert a graph paper, but not because you see a graph paper next to question 9 that you think you can write question 2 there. It does not work like this. And we will be coming to the schools individually so that we can make certain that you understand this. But I think this is so neat. I think this is so very good. CXC cannot do any more to enhance you. So students, we have to work hard. Anything we want in this life comes from hard work. We have got to be dedicated, we have got to be focused, and we have got to concentrate. Now, I had such an unfortunate incident at Gatwick's airport, and now I would like to thank the Minister, Mr. Melford Nicholas, for quickly coming on board with me and making certain that I do have a tablet so that I can show you the different things in terms of coming on Facebook and on YouTube, that you are actually keeping in mind focus, that these things can be had, and we want you to use them. No more talking from me. It is now working, the mathematics question. So, the January CXC examination came, and the general mathematics, and yes, so the students presented themselves. Instructions are here, and I want us to test our knowledge with what was given and to see if we could not have negotiated some of these questions. So we are working from the examination papers. I will address the primary school students tomorrow in terms of talking about your projects, but today I'm focusing directly on my CXC examination candidates. The first question, and it said, using a calculator or otherwise calculate the exact value of. So here it is, using a calculator or otherwise calculate the exact value of. And this is what we had, 12.8 squared, and it's minus, open bracket, 30, and it's divided by 0.375. Okay, so we had 12.8 all squared minus, open bracket, 30 divided by 0.35. I used to tell my students all the time, when it says using a calculator, you could do that, because the otherwise, I would always tell them, don't even look at otherwise. For our calculators, that is why we're saying the calculator you'll be using in the examination room, make certain you're getting familiar with the buttons. Now, my cameraman, if he comes in right here, you see that this is saying all squared up here. On your calculator, there is a button where you can see that it is x squared. That is the one you would be touching in terms of using to get the solution for this part of it, 12.8. And what would we have been doing? Put on your calculator, you'll be going 12.8, press your square button, you get a number, and that is it, that this is equal to 163.8, and it is minus. Take your time. The other part now says that you're going 30 divided by, and it is point, and it is 37. Let's get this right. And it is 0.3775. Make certain you're pressing the correct numbers, okay? And it's equal to. Now let's do this part again. So make certain your things are working. So we have 30 divided by, and it is point, and it is 375, and that is equal to, we get our answer, 80. All right? And then we look and we see that we have to do the subtraction from that. So then it would now be, clear that, you're getting 163.8 minus 80, and it is now equal to 83.8. And that is your answer. So then we're telling you that you have to make certain you're using your calculators, make certain that you know the buttons, you know the function of each button on that calculator. We just said, so you said, wait, what did this Western do? You go to your calculators, it is 12.8 all squared. The button on your calculator that has x squared on it, that's the one you would have been pressing, so that you would put in the number. Your calculator will tell you, your instruction from your calculator would say, so it's 12.8, press the squared button, square, you get your answer. All right? Clear it, and then you're going minus, and then you're working your bracket again, 30, and then it is divided by, and it is 0.375. You get your answer, you put it down, and then you do your subtraction, and you get your answer. All right? So that is what we are saying. So let's do that again. 163.8, and it is minus 80, and our answer is equal to 83.8, and that is it. At home, we would have been telling you that 12.8 all squared, you could have been saying that's 12.8 times. That's why they said otherwise. 12.8. That's what that means. But okay, you see how long that process will be. So please practice that. You must know your calculator. You must know your keys. And why am I doing it? Because I want to show you you're really ready for the exam. All right? So take a break and we'll be right back.
To succeed in mathematics, you need to build on what you've learned before. New concepts are added to and build upon previous concepts. It is very important that the early material be mastered thoroughly. Similarly, mastery of material from previous classes makes success in later classes more likely. So continually review and practice concepts from previous sessions.
Right, so now we're on part B of question number 1. What is it that it is asking? And it says, Mary spends 3/8 of her monthly salary on housing. Of the remainder, she spends 1/3 on food and saves what is left. First part of this question, we are asked to calculate the fraction of her monthly income spent on food. Don't look on anything else, okay? On your examination paper, you would see for the first part, the question comes here, your space is here, so you do the work in between here. So those of us who write broad. All right, let us now look and temper and see. This is what the format is on our CSEC exam. question is here, and you're expected to do your work in this space provided. Okay, so we're showing you everything, so you start getting attuned. Okay, so here, what should we be doing? You get a question like this, and this is comprehension. So what are we going to be doing? Yes, picking out the salient or the main point. What is the fact we know? What do we know? We know that Mary spends 3/8 of her monthly salary on housing. What is this information telling us? What is this 3/8 telling us? It's a fraction, isn't that true? And what did we say? A fraction has two parts. It has the numerator and the denominator. This information here, we would have known whatever the salary is, she had divided it into 8 parts. Isn't that true? Yes. Okay, the denominator tells us how many parts we have divided the whole into. So my grade 6 students, you can be listening to, because this is generally one of the questions you get on your examination paper. Okay, so the denominator tells us that the salary had been divided into 8 parts, and the numerator is telling us that she used 3 parts out of that 8 to cover her housing. So what is this remainder? Remainder would have been equal to our, let's write with the black, sorry, our 8/8, okay, minus our 3/8. Where is this 8/8 coming from? The whole. So we call the whole, this denominator tells us how we want it to represent the whole. And we want it to represent it as 8/8, okay? And it's minus 3/8. And everybody knows by now that when the denominators are the same, all we do is subtract our numerators. And so we know right away 8 minus 3 would have left us with 5/8. So the remainder of the salary in terms of a fraction was 5/8. Okay? And what does it say? Of the remainder, she spends 1/3 on food. And they're asking us to calculate the fraction of her monthly income spent on food. So they want us to give the answer as a fraction. So nobody's asking us to say $20 or nothing. They just as a fraction. All right? And once we understand these principles, we will be able to do it. But can we find it? What information do we have? And yes, we can. Because we have 2 pieces. We know that the remainder is 5/8. And it says she spends 1/3 on food. So then, we know we can write then amount spent on food. So the solution to part 1, amount spent on food, would be equal to 1/3 of 5/8. Isn't that true? Jetta, am I right here? Right? That is what this line means, okay? She spends 1/3 on food. So when they ask us now to calculate the fraction of her monthly income spent on food, this is the operation that we have to perform. And then so it would now be equal to 1/3, and it's of means multiplied by 5/8. And nothing to cancel, so what do? We multiply numerator times numerator, so that would be equal to 1 times 5, and it's over denominator by denominator, which is 3 times 8. And so our answer then would be equal to the fraction we're looking for is 5/24. 5/24. So again, we started, Mary spends 3/8 of her monthly salary on housing. From this information, we can learn that, all right, so she has 5/8 to play with, all right? So the remainder is 5/8, and she spends 1/3 of that remainder on food. So it would be 1/3 of the 5/8, and then we do our operation, and then we're going to get that it is, nothing will cancel, so we're getting numerator by numerator over denominator by denominator multiplying, and it would be 5/24. So that is the fraction we're looking for that part 2. And then after that, it says, calculate the fraction of her monthly income, and this should be she saved. Calculate the fraction of her monthly income she saved. Okay, so how are we going to do that? How are we going to do that? How are we going to find what fraction she saved? Well, this is the reasoning again you're thinking about. What does she have to start from in terms of saving anything from out of anything anyway? And we go back and we see immediately, yes, she had the sum that she was starting with 5/8. Out of this 5/8, she has spent 5/24. Isn't that true? So what would be left? It would have to be 5/8 minus 5/24. It's the same thing as if you said, well, I have $25. I'm going to spend $13 on a dress I see down the road there. So what do I have left in my purse? It would be the 25 minus the 13. When you can't see it in terms of fraction, use whole numbers. That will tell you right away. So you were saying, hey, if I had $50 and I spent a $7, then what would I have left then to say I can save? It would be the 50 minus the 7. That is the same reasoning you take into this operation with our fractions. You started with 5/8. You spent 5/24. What do you have left? It would be 5/8 minus 5/24, which is what the second part is now asking us to calculate, the fraction of her monthly income she saved. So let us now take off this, because we have shown you how that first part was, and we are now saying that monthly income we're saying part of monthly income. Let's write this properly so you get nice statements and not a bang fungo. So we're now saying part of monthly income saved would be equal to, what did we start with? Yes, 5/8. What did she spend? Out of this 5/8, 5/24. And then again, you see, these are the simple little fractions that we've been doing all along. Okay, we're subtracting, and we look, and nobody has to tell us. The LCM here would be 24. 8 into 24 goes 3 times. 3 5s would be 15. And it's minus 24 into 24 once. 1 times 5 would be 5. 15 minus 5 would leave you with 10/24. And if you feel like you can cancel that down, that this now becomes, that this is 5/12. Okay, so nobody told you had to give the answer in its simplest form, so you would get your marks still if you had given them 10/24. But I always tell my students to cancel and make certain that you're leaving in the simplest form, that if they had said so, you would still get your marks. All right? And that is the answer. Okay? So we have these answers then that we can find out the fraction of her monthly income spent on food. Okay, and then we knew that, and we knew the remainder, and found out 5/24, And then after that, calculate the fraction of her monthly income she saved. And so again, we said, what is left, okay? And we found that it is 5/12. So that was the first part. The second part of the question. Now, easy. I'm going to send you home tonight with the third part of this question, and you're going to be working with me tomorrow to see if you got what I am telling you would have been the answer. Now, I'm going to challenge you tonight to give me this answer for the part C, and it says, at Bank A, so let's write it, because you're going to say, wait, Miss Weston, I have my book, because I know Miss Wire up in St. Philip, she's working, nobody can take her from that classroom. And Miss Nurse Warner in Villa, or they're looking to, and all over the globe. Some of the names not coming to me right now, but every one of my students, all are young, they're working the things too, okay? So we have at Bank A, US $1, okay, US $1 is equal to BD, so this is a Barbadian dollar, 1.96. If you walked into the bank and you had a US dollar, you would get back $1.96 Barbadian. And they're asking us to calculate the value of US, and it is 700 in BDS. And CXC has written in bold, US means United States dollars and BDS means Barbados dollars. We know that, okay? I want to give you the part 2 because I want to say something about this in terms of looking at the exam questions. At Bank B, the value of US $700 in BD is 1,386. Okay? And it says what? Calculate the value of US $1 in BD dollars at this bank. All right, so I'm sending you home tonight to check on those and to see if we can do that. That's the consumer arithmetic. This is the maths problem we have on CXC. So don't worry, say things are hard, because you do this every day. All right, remittances that comes in from your people overseas, that is what you're going to the bank and find out what's the rate, okay? And you're trying to get these things. So I'm asking you tonight to check these questions. At Bank A, US $1 is equal to 196 BDS. Calculate the value of US $700 in BDS. Then part 2 says, at Bank B, the value of US $700 in BDS is 1,386. And we are asked to calculate the value of US $1 in BDS at this bank. So this is Dr. Karen Weston signing off and saying, from Jetta and I, right here in the studio, we will see you again.
Join us next time for another in the series, Mastering Mathematics, a production of the Education Broadcasting Unit in the Ministry of Education. Television and ABS TV.